Welcome to the Prowler Podcast. Today, with my good buddy Tate with us, and we're ready to dive into his college journey from in baseball, while also shedding light on his experiences with high school recruiting and baseball from Briarcrest Christian School, same high school as me and Michael here. And CBU is also located in Memphis, Tennessee, so it's just same city. And Tate brings a unique perspective to the table. So, without further ado, let's turn it over to Tate as he introduces himself and shares more about his background.
What's going on? I'm Tate Gentleman. I played 4 years of Briarcrest baseball and was lucky enough to play at CBU, and I'm going into my senior year. So I've been in Memphis my whole life, and I decided to stay in college, and that's where I'm at. So
in high school, I didn't play baseball, but you and Michael did, and y'all been, talking about everything. Briarcrest just winning state, and y'all are like saying y'all that's how to play the Avengers and everything. And
yeah.
y'all had a great team that year. But since you've been in college, Tate, coming from high school, getting to the college, and the transfer portal coming along, NIL coming along, how has the recruiting world changed due to the transfer portal being so wide open?
Yeah, so there are two different sides of this. One side, Michael's a good example. Guys that go to a school and don't seem to fit the right playing style, even though that's what they thought coming out of high school, and they don't really see a way to get into the lineup. The transfer portal is a good option for guys like that, Now, guys that have an easy playing spot and are playing well and, don't have any problems with the coach or play style or anything like that, entering the transfer portal kind of for fun to explore options, that's where it gets a little bit dicey. I've seen a lot of guys enter the portal that have played at CBU, and now they're not even playing baseball because after like the third day of being in the portal, their name gets pushed to the very, very end of the list, and they're kind of SOL, if they don't find a school really, really quick. So there are two sides to it. You can end up like Michael, and end up at another really, really nice school and be able to play right away. But also you're taking a huge risk not being able to find a school.
Yeah, and that kind of I'll go off of that. Like there are thousands and thousands of names every year that go unpicked up. So these kids are going into the portal, whether it's their decision or they're kind of getting kicked out of their school, they're kind of getting asked to leave. Whatever those two reasons are, they end up not getting picked up, not playing college baseball. So there's obviously both sides to where someone can kind of use the transfer portal to start at a low and transfer up, or like I did and a lot of people have, as start at a Power 5 school or a lot bigger school and not having a very great first year or not kind of seeing your way onto the playing field and wanting to make sure that you go get some playing time somewhere else and you're able to transfer down a little bit to a mid-major like I was able to do. And like so many of my buddies and even teammates now, they were able to do transfer from Georgia down to here. And now that it's even open, they can transfer back up once you have a good year or so. So there's pros and cons to everything. I mean, it's still very new. It's still in the early years of the transfer portal. So I'm sure more regulations will come down the road, but it's pretty wide open now. So everybody is kind of figuring out what they can and can't do and what's good and not for them right now.
How many seniors went to play college ball out of that senior class y'all had?
I believe it was 11 of us signed and played. Now there's only like 4 of us that are still playing now. But
yeah, look at Tyler, man. He went to Memphis, then Southwest, won JUCO Player of the Year, right, in Tennessee.
Yeah,
and then
he did. Now he's at UAB. Yeah.
And so that's what I think transfer portal makes everything like it makes it like good. Like you can go to Memphis, have some good years, and then transfer to a JUCO, have a great year, and now he's at UAB playing great ball.
Yeah, it obviously opens up opportunities for people, but then on the flip side, it makes recruiting a little bit awkward now to where there's not a lot of loyalty. You're only really going to a place to kind of get yours for a year or two, and it's a little bit weird. Like coaches nowadays are kind of having to change how they recruit and not like recruit the best freshmen. Like it makes it really hard for younger guys wanting to go to the higher levels of college baseball because These coaches now are like, okay, I can go grab a guy that's played 3 years at a mid-major and he's transferring up and he's been very successful. I can go grab a 22-year-old out of college rather than take a 17, 18, 19-year-old out of high school and develop him for 3 years. Like, I don't want to develop this guy for 3 years. I just want to continue to flip my roster over every year. So that's where, especially for high schoolers, I think it changes the game a lot. Like I've said multiple times now, if I could go back, I would probably go to JUCO out of high school, so that I know I can go play somewhere. I know I can get developed on the field, and then see my options after that. So that's kind of where the transfer portal is leaning to, I think.
Yeah, and Peyton and I talked about driving to the lake. I kind of look at it like this. The NCAA is kind of like these bigger, like these high school recruits are going to these smaller schools, and these bigger schools are just getting like people from the portal. And like, yeah, you have your big recruits like go to these big Power 5 programs, but a lot of other like recruits are going to these smaller schools, developing and then transferring out.
Yeah,
so
I definitely think the top 1% of the freshmen should probably always go to the bigger schools. They're physically and more talented than everybody else probably. But after that, I'd probably recommend for you to go somewhere smaller, develop on the field. There's no other better way than develop than actually playing, whether that's football, baseball, basketball, whatever. It's great to be around at a big school, but you're not going to develop unless you're on the field. So I think it's best for freshmen that aren't just the absolute best players in their class to probably go to a smaller school than they would think.
So Tate, so you chose CBU out of high school, and you had some pretty good offers, and you chose CBU. What made you go there and stay up to this point in your career?
So, sorry, I don't know if you guys can hear that. There's a little music going on in this room. All right, CBU. So they were the first team to really recruit me. Going from my junior year and summer into senior year, there wasn't really much going on recruiting wise for me. I'm 5'7", 145 pounds. I don't hit homers. I run okay. I can field a ground ball, and I have a decent arm. So I wasn't getting guys, jumping at the bit for me every time I'd play. But CBU came to one of my games in the fall and recruited me pretty hard, and they made it known that they really wanted me to come there because I could potentially help them out and help them out fast. So that was music to my ears because, it's like, oh, sweet, I'm going to go in and get to play. And, being from Memphis, growing up here, I have a sweet spot in my heart for Memphis, and, having mom and dad's house 30 minutes away from my campus in the baseball field, it kind of all made sense, So that was a big reason why I wanted to stay at CBU, was to stay at home so mom and dad could come see me a lot.
Yeah, I think for Tate, like for one of the reasons like recruiting now is so different is Tate has all the intangibles, all the things that people have to come and see and watch. Like he's a winner, like he plays the game hard. He makes all of his teammates better. He brings everyone up by the way he plays. He's going to push everyone. But you have to go see that. Like that's where I think recruiting changes the game, because all of Tate's numbers that he can measure aren't just eye-popping. All these guys aren't going to look at a screen and see these numbers, his exit velo, his this, his that, his 60 time, and be like, wow, like I really want that dude. But you go watch him play, and he's a winner. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's actually changed the game. I think the game has changed a lot more back from, okay, I'm going to go to all these big combines and everything, and I'm going to take the dude with the biggest exit velo. Well, that always doesn't translate to being able to hit in a game, to be able to be a situational hitter like Tate is. Like he can do so many things that you have to come and watch and see. So I think that's where recruiting can change, and is changing now. More guys are really relying on, okay, can this guy help me win games? And that's what CBU saw in Tate, and that's why they pounced on him very hard, which obviously when you watch somebody like that play, that's what a dude that you want on your team.
I mean, with the IQ Tate has, great mentality, great attitude. He's friends with everybody. He's always bringing people up, so that's how you build championship teams. You get guys like that, and you build your team and you win championships, you win games. And Tate, have you ever been presented like to the opportunity to transfer up from D2 to D1?
No. My freshman year, I redshirted, so there was definitely thought of transferring somewhere else. The going to D1 was never really something I thought about, just because the guys you see playing Division I baseball are all Michael size or bigger. 6 foot tall, big donkeys, can run well, they can hit the ball 500 feet, and that's not really my game at all. And I'm comfortable staying at the Division II level because I've seen scouts at my games on the weekends. I know there's equal opportunity for Division II guys to take the next step and play professional baseball. Maybe not as much as Division I, but still, you can do some awesome things in Division II baseball, and I've seen it. So I'm really comfortable staying at Division II.
Yeah, and that's what we try to tell these kids that my brother, he helps get offers and everything. Like they all want to go to these big schools. You don't need to do that. Go to these smaller schools, get your playing time, develop as a player, a student, everything. Get used to college, and then maybe go somewhere. But if you're good, they're going to find you, right?
Right. Exactly.
That's what we try to tell these kids. Like personally, Tate, do you think it's bad to go lower to get more playing time, to get the recognition, to transfer up and have a better chance?
I think it's a great idea to go wherever you're going to play at. When it's all said and done and your college time is over and potentially your professional time is over, you don't want to look back on the years that what could have been. You want to look back on college baseball saying, man, I ran out everything hard. I played as hard as I could, and I played as often as I could. Even if I was hurt, my hamstring was bothering me, my shoulder was bothering me, I still buckled up and gave it all I had. And I think it's a way better idea to go somewhere you're going to play at, rather than going at, whatever the coolest offer is, whatever is going to get you the most publicity. Yeah, go wherever you can play, 100%.
Right. And Michael, what do you have to say on that? I mean, I know you went Power 5 right out of high school, but what do you think about?
Yeah, I mean, I would 100% agree with Tate. Like looking back, like I said, I would actually change what I did out of high school. So I was the guy that was pretty highly recruited in high school, and I had a bunch of offers, and I chose to go to Kentucky, which obviously now is like the top 5 team in the nation the last 2 years. So it was a great experience. It was awesome, but I don't think I actually developed and got that much better of a player being there because I didn't play much. I was pinch running and defensive replacement type of guy. So even though it was a great experience and all these things, for me personally, if I could do it all over again, I would go JUCO, I would go mid-major, and I would go somewhere that I can get 200 at bats in a year. And then if I play well, I have that opportunity to transfer up, and then I've actually developed for a year. Staying at that Power 5, you just go into your sophomore year, and you're the same player you were your freshman year. So obviously, I would think going somewhere that you can play and develop. Like I said, I think playing is the best version of developing there is. So that's definitely the route that I would take if I could.
I definitely feel like that path it's gonna make you a better player and a better person. Going through all that, it's gonna make you better. So I mean, obviously, if you have the talent and everybody knows you have the talent coming out of high school, and you get there and you're gonna be playing all the time. But other than that, I probably would go the JUCO path and then work your way up. You see these guys transferring out, going to these big schools and showing out. But both of y'all, I guess, what can you give an athlete what advice can you give an athlete in the portal or a high school athlete on what to work on to make them stand out not only on the field but also in the classroom?
So I'm going to let Michael talk about the transfer portal. I'll focus more on the high school athlete because he's been in the portal. I've got no experience at all in the transfer portal. But for a high school guy, the biggest thing I can tell you is it sounds a little corny and a little bit cliche, but play every game like it's the last one you're ever going to play.
Yeah.
Run everything out. Hit your cutoff. Do all of the little things, because at the very least, someone will find you purely for the fact that the fundamentals of baseball. If you're a guy like me that's not going to wow you with the main tools, then you really have to stand out, being able to move runners over, steal bases, hit your cutoff man, use long hops, like all the fundamentals. It sounds so boring and so cliche, but that's what coaches look for. At the very least, they're going to look for somebody that's going to be able to play the game. And they don't care how big or how tall you are. It's just purely how bad do you want it and how well do you know the game. So that's what I want to tell a lot of high school guys is play as hard as you can and master all the fundamentals.
Yep. And I would agree to that on the highest level. Everywhere I've been, it is every saying defensively is make the routine play. Don't do anything crazy out of your comfort zone. You don't have to go make a spectacular play every time. If you make the routine play every single time, you are going to be an absolutely great player and you're going to play for a long time. And if you run every ball out, if you give everything you got, a lot of guys get onto the field and stay onto the field because they're hard to take out of a lineup. That guy is one of the hardest players. He does everything right. He is a spark plug, like everything. My coaches even say, like, if you don't run your best time to first every time, you're coming out of the game. There's no reason that you shouldn't give absolutely your best every single time. What do you get? 4 at-bats in a game? Maybe. Like, there's no reason to not give your best time every time. Stuff like that. Even on the football side, like, I would just say really focus on yourself to make yourself the best player that you can possibly be in the classroom, on the field, in life as general. Like, focus on yourself more than anything else rather than focusing on these external things like stuff with coaches and all these things. If you can make yourself a better player every single day, 1% at a time, and be consistent and disciplined on that, you're going to have success for the rest of your life. It doesn't matter where you go, what you do. I would just say focus on yourself, do everything you can to be a better person, better player.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what we got taught up. We went to a school where our coaches were hard on us, right? And they wanted us to be the best we could be. They always wanted us to give 100%. And if we didn't, we were getting our butts chewed. But same as y'all just said. Do everything right. Do all the little things correct, like in the classroom and on the field.
Yep.
And so I guess last thoughts on the current world of college sports. With NIL being so big now, what are y'all's thoughts on that? Like, what do y'all think? Where do y'all think it's going to end up?
I think it's really, really cool. I mean, obviously, since it's so new, there are a lot of loopholes, and there are a lot of spots to fill. With it, there's no loyalty. There's not a lot of loyalty anymore. Guys are bouncing around, but I mean, on the other side, it presents a lot of opportunity for kids that are a lot less fortunate than we are. You know what I mean? The ability to earn a lot of money really, really fast and being so young, it's really, really cool to see. I enjoyed a lot, but there are a lot of loose ends to tie.
Yeah, I mean, with anything new like this, with how open it is, there's going to be some problems. But I think the key root of paying these players a little bit, even a lot now in these big schools, the amount of money that they're generating for these big organizations and colleges, they deserve something. They're college kids. Like, this is a job. Like, if anyone knows that, being a Division I, Division II athlete, whatever, NIA, D3, it is a full-time job. And you're going to school at the same time. And you're bringing in all these mass of money for these colleges. I think it's great that they're being able to make some money off of that. But obviously, like Tate said, there's going to be some pitfalls of that. Anything new and with money involving young kids and students, whatever, there's going to be some bad ends. But I think as a general idea, it is awesome. I think the NCAA should have done it way earlier. I think it's probably the NCAA's fault. This is so crazy now that they didn't allow it for the past 10, 15 years and make rules and regulations for it. So I think it's awesome.
Michael and I talked about this, Tate. Did you see that the NCAA approved what happened, Mike? So the school itself can pay the players now. It doesn't have to be a collective or anything. The school itself can pay past players. Like how long ago?
Yeah, so there's a lawsuit right now going. They're about to back pay all the Power 5 teams for the past about 10 to 12 years, and it's upwards of a few $1 million for these schools that they now get to distribute out to these guys that played at these schools that now deserve this back pay. But so for Power 5 players, schools that they don't have to go through an NIL collective anymore. They can actually pay the players directly.
Wow. Yeah, no, I didn't hear about that, but it sounds like those loose ends are getting tied. That's what it sounds like to me. With this being so new, schools are still getting accustomed to everything. And I think that's a big step right there. I think that's a good sign of the direction the NCAA is going.
Yeah. And Tate, you're going to play summer ball up in Wisconsin, right?
Yep, that's right.
You ready for that?
Yeah, it's gonna be a blast, man. I leave Friday. Yeah, it's gonna be sick.
You come back in August, right?
Yeah, beginning of August.
Staying in Wisconsin, or y'all gonna be traveling anywhere or what?
So in our summer league, I know in a lot of different collegiate summer leagues, you can travel like up to 8 hours. But with our summer league, we're staying in Madison in Wisconsin, and we're going to be playing everywhere in between there and Milwaukee, which is about like a 2-hour range. So not really traveling a whole bunch, which is kind of cool. Riding on a bus kind of sucks sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's still really cool because we're playing on the whole other side of the country.
Summer ball is one of the best things you can do. Summer ball, the bonds that you make with guys across the country that you never even think that you know. I still talk to guys I played summer ball with 3 years ago. It's awesome. Obviously, this is more of a football, all sports involved, but baseball, if you can go play summer ball, I'd 100% recommend.
Yeah. Real quick, for a young guy that is just in school and has just finished like his first or second year in college baseball, go play summer ball. I don't want to hear anything about internships or working or making money or anything like that. Go play summer baseball because it's going to get you better no matter what. Yeah. And you're going to get playing time no matter what, wherever you go. Go play summer ball.
Didn't you and Jonah go to the same one last year, Tate?
No, I wasn't with Jonah. He went to Canada.
He went to Canada, and he went to
Canada to play.
Where'd you go last summer?
I was in Wisconsin last summer, the same league.
Same league. And Michael, where were you at that one year? You went up to, was it New York?
Yep, I went to New York going into my freshman year, and then coming out of my freshman year, I went to Wisconsin as well. I went to play in Kenosha in the Northwoods League.
Yeah, I see all those pictures. It looks fun up there. It looks like you're having a good time and making good friends and getting some good playing time and making some good plays out there. But so there's this quarterback coming out of Georgia, and he's at Georgia right now, and I guess he transferred from Florida to Georgia, and he's suing the University of Florida now, like the coaching staff and boosters, because it's over an NIL deal he never received the money for that he was promised, and I guess it's going to affect some type of NIL, but them not paying, I guess they're catching on to it because, like all these kids they're transferring all these times and they're getting promised this money and they're getting paid that money, but they're just like the portal's so open, you're hitting all these schools, getting money and then hitting the portal again. And I guess Florida's not going to deal with that. So they don't want to pay him because he left. But what do y'all think about that?
Yeah, I know we've said it a bunch, but there's still a lot of loose ends to tie with this NIL stuff. But also another thing that arises from this NIL deal and NCAA trying to put up with all this is that kids are going to need more guidance, or else stuff like that is going to happen a lot more. I think more and more kids are going to need agents to guide them through stuff, because you really need to understand what signing things mean and making contracts with people. You can go into something and ruin your life, and it sounds like that's exactly what's happening with this Georgia quarterback. A lot of this stuff is really, really dangerous, and kids need a lot more guidance through the NIL stuff.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as you start giving people a lot of money, things start to kind of get fishy. Feelings get hurt, things happen. And I'm sure this guy got promised upwards of $13 million. And that is no small chunk of change. So it kind of brings the bad part of NIL and transfer portal into effect here of like people are going to go to the places that they can make the most money now, not the places that they can make the best relationships and the best place to get them to the next level and all these things. People are almost just worried about the money at this point at the very highest level. There's always going to be pros and cons to something like this. This is just one of the cons. It'll probably get figured out, but it's just one of those things.
You can go be a backup quarterback in the SEC now and make over $500,000.
Yeah, you're going to make a lot more than most of the coaches except the head coach. You're going to make a lot of these players are making a lot more money than a lot of the coaches are at that point, which is a crazy thought to think. But I mean, they're the ones putting the product on the field. These universities make such an astronomical amount of money. It's one of the biggest things in the world. College football is. So I mean, there's a bunch of money to go around. It's going to get crazy, and I mean, it already has.
I know football is the biggest NIL market right now, but I feel like it's going to expand. It's starting to expand to basketball already, like a lot. And it's going to go to baseball next because, everybody loves baseball in college. College baseball is different. And, you got football. It's going to start expanding to all parts of college sports. And it can get dangerous, and you're right. They do need somebody. They're all kids. We're all kids. And they need somebody to guide them. And that's what Preston's trying to do. Like he wants to, stay with these high school athletes throughout college. So when people start if they get to that level, and they have that talent to, make all that money, he wants to guide them through all that. And so that's where we're trying to reach out to these kids and show them. And, that's with everything. It's with football. It's with, going out to the real world, working for a corporate job, it's, you need guidance. But you have anything to add on?
That's all I got, man. I loved it. This is awesome.
Yeah, man. I think it's a great thing. I think a lot of people are going to find some value from it. I think as long as you continue the conversation and get as much information out there as possible, that the kids will benefit from it. So I think it's great.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to start having Michael on every once in a while just to, give kids more. He's a college baseball player. He's going to give them more, tips and stuff. And thank you, Tate, for coming on. And maybe you'll come on again. Maybe get your dad on here with us.
Yeah.
And, well, thank you for taking your time and coming on here and sharing your knowledge to all these kids. And audience, thank you all for tuning in. And we look forward to continuing to expand your awareness of our platform and look forward to partnering with those who are serious about playing their level at the next sport. And our weekly quote is, nobody wants to quit when he's losing. Nobody wants you to quit when you're ahead. Jackie Robinson. So we'll continue next week with former current players and coaches. And we'd also like to take a moment and thank the men and women that have sacrificed their lives to not only allow us to assist athletes, but also play all these great games we love. Happy Memorial Day. And so, as always, Prowler up, and we'll see y'all next week.